Hi, back again with the analysis of stanza 3 of this poem. So let's get to it. Stanza 3. It is a sad thing to hear the wails and the mourning shouts of the women calling on all the gods they worship to protect them from the angry sea. Okay, so going back to the structure of this poem, you will notice the first two stanzas. It's as if the poet is standing close to the sea or at a in a viewpoint where he can see what the sea is doing. We really don't know. Well, we can't say that. We do find out, okay, that the sea has destroyed and it has taken things from the people's homes. But in this stanza, what I felt is that the poet turns away from what the sea is doing, the actions of the sea, which you would have seen highlighted in those first few stanzas in green, to the actions of the people who are reacting to what the sea has done to them. So here you see more of the actions of the people here. You don't basically, you can see I have highlighted three actions of the people here in yellow. We have whales, mourning, calling, and we have only one reference to the perpetrator of these of these basically the person who started all of these actions in the people, the angry sea. So let's see why the writer now moves from looking at what the sea has done to looking at how the people are reacting. So basically we find out why he's looking at the people's reaction in this stanza. He is saddened by what is happening. We see him directly telling us it is a sad thing to hear the wails. So it moves from an objective report. Objective means he doesn't get too emotionally involved in the first two stanzas. Um, he doesn't quite really. He doesn't show his heart on his sleeve, but here he tells us, look, it's a sad thing to hear the people, to hear these women wailing. So he moves from an objective report to more of a narrative about those people, especially the women who have been affected by the actions of the sea. So here we are moving more towards the tone of the poem, the tone meaning what does the writer think about the sea? What does the writer think about the women who are affected by the sea? Then let's look at the words used to describe these people, these women. We have wails, mourning, calling. So usually these are words associated, especially the first two, wails and mourning, associated with sadness, funerals. So you can understand the kind of grief because usually the word mourning especially be associated with the loss of someone. So the poet has not given us that insight, but we don't know whether there has been a loss of life. But we get an idea that these women are grieving. They are really, really saddened by what has happened. The wail, especially the word wail, basically indicates like a complete loss of self control. You're wailing because you cannot bear to keep that pain inside. So the wailing, the mourning, especially, I would say, are auditory images which are very emotive. So they kind of show us how much these women's hearts are breaking at what has happened to their homes and to their families. I also found it interesting that the writer has combined mourning with the word shouts, mourning shouts. It provides an insight. Yes, these women are mourning, but they are shouting as well. It may be because they are angry or because they are fearful. So uh, there is, you could say, a combination of sadness and fear felt in these women because of what they have gone through. I think it's quite interesting that the writer has decided to focus on the women here because um, Yes, usually women are associated with being the weaker folks, so we feel more sorry for them. But I just feel that um, well, I'll get back to that point a little later. Let's get down to the other actions. So we also have the verb calling here. So they are mourning and calling. Again, the use of the present participle. So these are actions that gives us the reader a sense that we are there, like it's happening as we are listening to this. They are mourning, they are calling. It gives us a sense of presence, the use of the present participle. And you can get an idea from the phrase calling on all the gods they worship, that these women are quite desperate because they're calling not for their husbands, they're not calling um, on one god, they're calling on all their gods. So it gives us an idea that they feel pretty helpless. They do not feel that their husbands or any other man or other men can save them. Women are strong enough to save themselves, but in this particular situation, they realize that it's completely out of human control. So they don't call on one God, they call on every single God that they worship. So it's a test of faith, literally, this whole situation, but they continue to beg their gods for protection. So the women are pretty desperate. Their faith has been tested, but they're calling on all their gods. It's also significant that they're not calling on men for protection because it shows us that, this is something that is completely out of the control of man. It shows us again how powerful the sea is, right? You need the protection of all the gods to protect you from the sea. And here again, we have the personification coming through, human quality of the angry sea. Why is it angry? This is something that I was wondering. Why is the sea so angry? So we don't get any insight into that, but it's basically maybe a way of interpreting the way the sea is behaving. It's angry about something, but we don't know what. So we've gone from a playful being to a being that is untrustworthy and thieving to a being that's quite angry about something. So maybe this is what the women are thinking. Why is the sea angry? Why is the sea angry? So it's something for us to consider, but it gives some shift in the way the in the mood of the poem. It's a feeling of fear in the villagers. Okay, so before we and I'm going to stop there, and we will go on to stanza 4, which will be analyzed in the next couple of videos. See you then.